crazy.
Riot, watch out!
Do you want to give a play-by-play of what just happened because I didn't get the camera in?
That we had lost hope completely and just got it up in 2 seconds.
How? Leverage?
Using leverage. Using a San Angelo pry bar carefully. And now we just let the heat pop that
Yeah, the
back
heat
out.
will pop that back out.
You might need to help me place it.
Okay.
I remember saying it and everything.
Thank you for fixing the cistern.
You're welcome.
How did you fix the cistern?
So we had a 2-inch ball valve that had the hose adapter connected to the cistern, and the ball valve itself like basically just cracked in half, like just opened up, and we woke up to like an ice kingdom this morning from all the water that dumped out of the cistern and froze over. So we just went and got a brass replacement, and hopefully that will not explode and crack open. So either way, we need to come up with, this is just a short-term solution. We need to come up with something that's a more long-term fix. So
why don't you just bury it? If you just bury it, it won't freeze like that.
We unfortunately live in a place where there's no substrate to dig into. We would have to blast rock, and that's not happening anytime soon. Not for what for us is a temporary fix. You know, eventually.
Why don't you just get a
well
well?
drilled.
Everyone just gets wells. Why don't you
That's
just
what
get
I was
a
just
well?
saying, that this is a temporary fix, as it is in general, the cistern, because ultimately we want to get a well drilled.
Why don't you just get a well?
The fuck did I just say?
Why don't you have a well? Why'd you spend all this money on a cistern if you're gonna get a well?
Because in our area, there's
I'm
like,
the YouTube
I know,
comments.
okay, great. Yeah, we love you. love the comments. In our area, there's a driller, one company that does the drilling, and they're like 2 years out for scheduling. So we are currently on the list, but it's a long wait.
Unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe.
Hi. So I am sorry that I have been gone for a while, and thank you to those that have stuck around despite me really not making content. And I'm not nomadic anymore, and I know that was kind of the draw for a lot of people to watch, was someone who was traveling full time. The transition to living off-grid and having property, we're still like camping. I'm obviously still in an Airstream. We're still living in an RV. We do plan on building a house, but it's been a transition. We've had some things go really well, and we've had some things go wrong. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you why I've been gone for a while, why I needed that break, what progress we've made, and some of our plans for the future. So thank you again for those that have stuck around, and I hope you enjoy learning about our off-grid lifestyle as much as you enjoyed the Blonde in the Box, living on the road in a self-converted cargo trailer. All right, I figure we can walk around our acreage a little bit, and I'll update you guys with where I've been and what's going on. Alright. I don't know how this framing is going to work. I just have the GoPro on a log. Typical Lux and Riot type video. But here's the deal. Some of you may have noticed that as I gained a private life, I became more private. I stopped making as many videos. I wasn't sharing as deeply. To a point, I think that's kind of normal. I did YouTube as a hobby because I was a little lonely, a little bored. And of course, you know, you want to share something interesting that you're doing with other people. I'm a little out of breath. We're at like 8,500 feet elevation. And I have something going on that's also kind of making me out of breath, which I'll share in a second. But if you notice, I really stopped making videos. I think I've only made a couple since April. And that's because in April, I found out, well, no, it was really in March. In March, I found out that I was pregnant. Now, I didn't think that I could become pregnant. I was married for a long time, did not become pregnant. And so we weren't preventing it. And I was hopeful that it was possible because diagnostically, there was nothing physically that could ever be ascertained as to why I wasn't able to get pregnant. Outside of like a couple like things, like a tilted uterus and I had hypothyroidism. But when I went on the road, I stopped taking my thyroid medicine and I was like, I'll see if, you know, nature can't work its way out. And over the 3 years that I was traveling, I didn't have any like major problems. Like my hair wasn't falling out. I wasn't gaining a lot of weight. I was actually pretty thin, pretty trim. So, you know, I just didn't think about it. But when I found out I was pregnant, I got to 8 weeks. It was when we were at that campground in Illinois before we went to go visit my parents. And literally the night before I was gonna go visit my parents, and somehow cruel reality, it was basically, by the time I miscarried, it was April Fool's Day. And I started having cramping during the day, and I kind of knew, you know, somehow inside of me that I was losing the baby. And waiting all these years to be able to become pregnant and then losing a baby. And I lost that baby at that campground. And I thought losing my former husband was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And losing that baby is the hardest thing that I've ever been through. And I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to be normal. I still don't know how to be like, it's a loss. Long story short, to the point where I didn't know how to handle that loss at all. I had an OBGYN appointment set up in my parents' town, my hometown. That was supposed to be my first prenatal visit, and it turned into like the check after a miscarriage to make sure that basically your body eliminates the entire thing. And they tested my thyroid, and it turned out I was so hypothyroid that, I mean, they can't 100% predict, but they pretty much predict that the pregnancy couldn't be sustained because my thyroid was so bad. So one thing, if you're going to be a nomad and you have any pre-existing health conditions, I would say not to just hope that nature takes care of them. I mean, for 3 years I didn't have any problems, but I really regret not maintaining my thyroid and that part of my health, because maybe that baby would have been able to survive. But the good news is things are better now. One thing that's kind of sick, and judge me all you want, but I kept the baby, what came out, For one, because I didn't know if the doctor was going to want to test it. And I read on the internet that you can put it in the freezer. This is so fucked up, but I kept that baby in the freezer all the way to the middle of April when we got to this property, and we quickly decided to buy the property. And so we buried the baby here on the property, and we have a little grave for it. So that baby's always with us. I don't know if it was a girl or a boy, so, you know, it's hard to say he or she, but I haven't been around because, and I still struggle to be, like, happy, to be normal, to want to share. And that was such a devastating loss that I didn't know how to make a video. How do you just act like that didn't happen? So I left YouTube, basically, for a while. But, like I said, the Lord works in mysterious ways, so happy news. But I'll change scenery. I'll change scenery since it's like a different scene. So this is the little gun range that Alex set up so he can do some target practice. I've been out here too, but it hasn't been a priority. And then this is the area. Don't mind my bear spray, but you got to carry it back here. This has been the area that we are dreaming of building a secondary, like, off-grid cabin at some point. It's a nice little chunk of flat ground, and we have like a little human game trail that we've basically created that allows us to get down here just fine. So in time this will be that, but that's not the good news. So in August, Alex asked me to marry him, and I said yes. And we didn't know this yet, but about a week before that, I got pregnant again. So as of this filming, I am a little over 17 weeks. I'll be due at the end of April, which again, I feel like is kind of ironic because, you know, I lost the last one at the 1st of April. This one will be due at the end of this next April. But I feel really blessed. It's a little girl, and we had genetic testing done, and all of that came back normal. Her first ultrasound came back healthy and normal, and we have the full anatomy scan this coming Wednesday. So I'm hoping, like, you know, no neural tube defects, no cleft lip. Like, I didn't care if it was a boy or a girl. I never thought having a baby, I never thought falling in love would happen for me again. Part of me going on the road was just because I was so depressed and so I had just like submitted to life that I was going to be doomed for sadness and aloneness forever. So why not travel and, like, try and heal that, or try and come, I don't know, whatever, right? But traveling was the right choice because obviously I made a lot of progress along the way. I had a lot of fun. I saw a lot of beautiful stuff. I met a lot of good friends like Robert, who I still love and keep in contact with. And I met Alex, and now I'm engaged, and I have property, and I'm going to have a baby, and I have this whole new life, which I never thought in a million years that the universe would be this good to me, right? So I feel really, really blessed, and I'm super happy to say that I am pregnant. So in addition, I'm like on the search for mountain lions because we've heard them in the area. So if I seem distracted, Riot is currently scanning the area behind me, or behind you, and so with her level of alertness, I'm just also alert. Anyway, but I'm excited. You know, videos going forward is going to be about, okay, we live in the mountains of Colorado in a trailer for now. We plan to live off-grid. We're going to raise a little one, but I want, like, a high quality of life for her. So there's going to be this immense balance We both work digitally still. Thank God for Starlink. We got Starlink and it's made a night and day difference in our ability to do our jobs, particularly me, because I'm on the phone most of the day and it's an internet phone system for my job. So having those speeds, if you can get Starlink, it's outstanding. But I digress. Videos going forward is going to be all about that kind of stuff. And while it's not traveling, we still plan on traveling. We love traveling, right? But our current priorities have just shifted. And I think developing land and being self-sustaining, I mean, that's part of the nomad idea too, right? Is being self-sustainable. But can you ever really be self-sustainable as a nomad? You rely on gas all the time. I mean, we rely on groceries. We're not there with our food or anything yet. We'll probably always rely on something. I'm not trying to kid myself or you. But I do feel like we're a lot more autonomous and I've saved more money having land. Now, granted, I had to purchase the land, and we have like no debt. So that's the other thing we're trying to do, is be like, you know, as debt free as possible, even though the house might cost us a little debt. But I don't know. I don't even know yet. Currently, we have no debt. And I didn't have debt traveling either. But my monthly expenses, because gas and maintenance of vehicle and everything like that was so expensive, I've actually used less money being stationary than I did while I was traveling. So it's something to consider. Sometimes, you know, people think that the nomad lifestyle can be super frugal, and I agree that it can, but it's quality of life too, right? So how much travel do you want to do versus sitting in a parked vehicle on BLM land around a bunch of other people that can't afford to move around? Versus how much do you want to travel and see America or the world or whatever and have a really good time while doing it, you know? So little give, little take. It's all about what your priorities are. Part of our priorities now are, of course, saving money and having some stability, because I want this kid to have a lot of stability. I had a stationary house, but I didn't necessarily have stability from the parenting perspective. So we're also doing some parenting classes. I'm still in therapy. We're doing a lot of reading. If any of you have really great parenting books, please put them in the comments below. But, you know, it's really about giving a quality of life to this kid now. It's not about me anymore, really, right? In terms of goals and ambitions. My biggest goal and ambition is to have a healthy pregnancy, a healthy and happy baby, and then create a good life for her and a good life for me and Alex. So these videos will be about that while still living an off-grid alternative lifestyle. Here are some of the things that we've been up to in order to make that happen. So our desire to purchase land actually started when we found out we were pregnant the first time, before we lost it. Because we knew we wanted to give stability to that kid. And Alex found this property, and we knew Colorado was one of the states that we both really loved, which is how we settled here. We knew it would be challenging, but we liked that because kind of the everyday homogenous lifestyle is what we left. So we knew we wanted something different, but that's how we ended up here. And we knew we would start in the trailer, and we knew it would be tough, and it has been. But we got the propane tank, and that's made a huge difference to having consistent heat and consistent cooking gas. We got the outdoor grill, which has made cooking a lot easier. We got the cistern, which is 2,500 gallons of water, which has made a huge difference. And even though the spigot cracked, it was an easy fix and a good learning lesson. We got the shed. So when I sold the cargo trailer, the money went to go get that shed. And it's a really nice shed. It gives us a lot of space. It's slightly insulated. We can insulate it more. But we have a lot of plans for that. We want to put an off-grid washer and dryer, probably propane based, and maybe like a small water system to feed the washer, because obviously kids go through a lot of clothes and diapers and everything else. So I feel like it takes us about 45 minutes to get to the nearest decent laundromat, about 20 minutes to get to a laundromat, but that one's 45 minutes to get to a good laundromat. So I want to have a washer and dryer, and we're looking into outfitting that into the shed. We're going to have to create heated outdoor area for the dogs, because the reality is we can't fit both of us, a baby, and 2 dogs that don't necessarily get along very well into the trailer altogether. So we're coming up with a plan for that. Now, we do want to build our cabin, and we obviously plan on having everyone in the cabin together, because I can't imagine having Riot, granted in a luxurious home outside, secure from bears and secure from mountain lions, because one of our neighbors did have a Shetland sheepdog get taken away by a mountain lion, even though it was behind fencing, 6-foot fencing. The mountain lion climbed the fencing and got into her doghouse and got the sheepdog. So obviously we need to have it super secured with roofing and everything, to keep the dog safe. And I'm struggling with that, I'll be honest. Obviously the baby takes precedence and priority, but not having the dogs in the house is going to be a struggle for me, even though I know historically that's kind of the way dogs and humans lived, in a lot of conditions. Not all the time, but anyway. So we have to do that. And the shed may be part of that, right? Because we know the shed is very secure. So it might be kind of a game, kind of like on a farm, where the animals come out during the day and they go away at night. But we'll see. If anyone has any good ideas, of course, please share them. Little Riot pretty much demands to be outside, except for in the coldest weather. It has to be like below freezing.
Okay.
And it's probably the reason I made her this little doghouse, though she doesn't seem too keen on it. She does like her Corunda bed. Those things are expensive, but worth it. I had them when I had my dog facility. But the ear issue. Hey Riot, come here. Front. Sit. You guys may notice we have one straight ear, one flop ear. And that is because she came back one day with a pretty decent sized hematoma, which is essentially like a bunch of blood coagulated. They can get it from shaking their head too hard, from scratching too hard. I assume she was running through brush and messed her ear up, or she was scratching at it after running through brush. But she's had one before and her ear healed fine. They can do surgery on it, which is really expensive, and there's no guarantee that it'll be all right. Unfortunately, this time, kind of like boxers get cauliflower ear, she has enough scar tissue that her ear is now, I think, permanently folded. But that's okay. We're not doing anything professionally anymore. She's still beautiful, even though her ear's fucked up now. Since I don't really know how to end this video, here's some trail cam footage from our property to enjoy before we send you out in epic fashion. I will do better about keeping you guys up to date and making more content. And thank you so much. Do you want to do the closing sequence? I forgot to shoot that.
Thank you for watching Lex and Riot. Like and subscribe.